Hare Krishna is the purpose of the Gita? 1863, okay, good try. Anybody else? I mean, there's just a couple options, guys. It's not hard. And the verses that I have at the top. Can anyone see them?
No.
The purpose is not clear yet. Okay.
Introduction.
Okay. The introduction is the purpose of the Gita. No, it's actually Bhagavad Gita 3.30. So we'll do call and response.
Can you be big?
Yes, I can. Is this good? Mahi sarvani karmani sanyasya dhatma cetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhashva vigata jvaraha mahi sarvani karmani sanyasya dhatma cetasa nirasir nirmamo bhutva yudhasva vigata jvaraha. So ready for would you like to start us off?
Yeah, okay. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya dhyatma cetasah nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvaraha.
Anybody else?
Yudhyasva
Mayi sarvani karmani
Mayi sarvani karmani
Sanyasya yatma chetasa
Sanyasya chetasa
Nirashir nirmamo bhutva
Nirashir nirmamo bhutva
Yudhyasva vigataspadaha
Yudhyasva vigataspadaha
Mayi sarvani karmani
Mayi sarvani karmani
Sanyasya yatma chetasa
Sanyasya chetasa
Nirashir nirmamo bhutva
Nirashir nirmamo bhutva
Yudhyasva vigataspadaha
Yudhyasva vigataspadaha.
Alright, so we can move on to the translation. And since Radhika, you were the first person to read the shloka, you can also do the translation.
Therefore, O Arjuna, surrender all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, and with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy. Fight. So here, I guess to summarize it, Krishna, he is just kind of telling Arjuna, like, don't worry, just surrender everything to him, do all of your work for him, for Krishna, and just fight. Like, don't take responsibility for the actions themselves and the results. Just
Okay, so it seems pretty clear cut, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to understand. Alright,
yeah.
so we can move on to the pervert. And Mohan Prabhu, could you start us off, and then I will tell you when to finish. You should finish at, I'll tell you when.
This verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties, as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander.
So, any takeaways from this?
Oh. I mean, we must realize that our position is not the position of the enjoyer, but the position of servant, or maybe with the attitude of service for others. And only then, I guess, we can understand Krishna completely, and also with and even God is, Krishna is also telling the same. I mean, Arjuna was therefore, Arjuna was therefore ordered by Shri Krishna in the last time, where, so Arjuna is just following the order of Krishna, because even though he didn't want you to fight the battle, but Krishna told him, so he's doing it. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I mean, in life you're always gonna have duties that are sometimes unpleasant. I don't know. This is me just speculating. Has anyone had to fire a person before in their job? No one has ever. Okay, so that's a really unpleasant duty. So, Prabhu, what is your name?
Mother Prabhu.
Mother Prabhu. And your experiences, tell, how do you feel when you have to fire someone at your job?
It was very difficult because she had no insight into what she was doing wrong, unfortunately. We gave her quite a few chances to improve things, but actually ultimately it was dangerous, so we had to let her go, and it didn't go very nicely.
Yes, that's a great real life example of having to have a duty that's really hard to carry out. So in this case, Arjuna's case, he had to fight the people that he's known for his entire life. Now I have a question for all of you. Are there any other personalities in the Shastras that had to perform a duty that could be considered unpleasant? Akura. Anybody else have any other personalities?
Mata Kaikeyi.
Okay.
Even Duryodhana, he threw Vidura out of his kingdom, and So that was also an unpleasant thing to do.
Yes.
Bhishma.
Bhishma.
There's even Karna.
Karan?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Tadichi Muni had to sacrifice his own body for an unpleasant thing.
Wow. Glad you believe that.
What was the prompt again?
The prompt is, are there any personalities who had to perform a duty that could be considered unpleasant?
Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada, oh my goodness, Prabhu, speak a little bit about this.
Speak a little bit about it. Okay.
What was so unpleasant that Srila Prabhupada had to do?
So Srila Prabhupada's instruction was to bring Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking world, to the West. And I'm just thinking, what that entails. Leaving everything behind, everything that you know, everything that you've grown up with, everything that's comfortable, and just going somewhere completely fresh, completely brand new, with nothing to your name, with this undertaking. That sounds stressful.
Yes, I'm sure Srila Prabhupada was a little bit stressed, you don't think? No, Srila Prabhupada is always peaceful. No matter what the circumstances are. So yeah, actually when I had thought of this question, the personality that came to mind for me was Akura, like Prabhuji and Mataji said. And especially it came to me because of the Seva Saturday Bhagavatam reading that we had, where it was talking about how Kamsa ordered Akura to go to Vrindavan to take Krishna and bring him to Mathura. Now Akura already knew that nothing will happen to Krishna. He knew who Krishna was truly, right? So that's no problem for him. And on the way going to Vrindavan, we saw that he was composing such nice verses talking about how excited he is to see Krishna. He had so much happiness in his heart. He was like, Krishna's like this, Krishna's like that. So much, it's all really amazing in the 10th canto. But yes, it's very happy. Max, would you be happy if you got to see Krishna?
Yes.
But what if it was under the circumstances that you had to take him away from everyone he loves?
No matter, I get to see Krishna.
You still
Oh my God!
Oh
That's not
no,
unpleasant for
Max.
me. It's unpleasant for the gopis.
It's unpleasant for the gopis, yes.
And
Yeah.
And Yashoda.
Yeah, not just the gopis, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. I mean,
Radharani.
you can see how Vrindavan completely dried up afterwards, after Krishna had left, because the residents had no will to survive afterwards. So, yeah, so this is the type of responsibilities. Akura was performing his duty, yes, but this is a very unpleasant duty. So, again, I also wanted to talk about military discipline specifically. I mean, this sounds like a very harsh word. Krishna consciousness is about being peaceful. It's about meditating, going into trance, samadhi. Let's go get a cow, Max. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah? So then if it's all about this calmness, tranquility, and happiness, why is Srila Prabhupada saying that we have to discharge duties in Krishna consciousness as if it's a military discipline? That kind of sounds harsh.
So I have answer to that.
Yes.
Like in the army, people get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, then they go for their training, and they are very disciplined, and they have to do like physical training.
Yes.
And so it's basically, we can compare that to KC, Krishna consciousness. In that also we have to get up at Mangal Aarti before 4 o'clock. Then we have to, take a bath and everything, and chant your rounds and everything, whatever we can do at the temple or home. So it's like a kind of a thing where you can compare it to, and the day we don't do it, we all know. After the sun comes out, the rounds are not so good as during the other days.
Amazing. Yes. So yeah, yes, for good, please.
For one who's fully Krishna conscious on the platform of spontaneous love, there's no military discipline because he's already spontaneously engaged in Krishna service 24 hours a day. But for those of us on the platform of sadhana bhakti, engaged in the practice of devotional service, so we have to accept some discipline. It may not always be pleasant to follow 4 Guru principles and to chant 16 rounds and to engage in all the regulated activities in devotional service, but these are meant to reawaken that spontaneous love and ecstasy.
Thank you so much for that. That's amazing. So yeah, another thing about military discipline, soldiers do not question orders. They just obey without argument. And this is because they don't even have the ability to argue, especially if you're on a battlefield, right? It's like a high stress situation. And in the same way, all of us are also on a battlefield. We're fighting a battle with Maya, right? Any one wrong move and Maya can immediately catch us in her grasp. So in that same way, we have to have the proper authority. And in this case for Arjuna, the proper authority was Krishna. So there was no need to overanalyze the situation or justify, or in Arjuna's case, he was justifying his reasons for disobeying the orders of his guru, Krishna. And this is after Arjuna had also accepted Krishna as his guru. So this is where, we have to start thinking a little bit more simply. Of course, we have to know when to apply which types of mindsets and the right time and the circumstances for it. But when we're on a battlefield, we just have to think simply, follow orders, and move on. So we can go on reading from one has to sacrifice everything. Krishna Prema will do that too. And then just end it here.
One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute his order. So this follows in the same vein that we actually just finished describing. This ties into that military discipline. Specifically also applying to Arjuna. Arjuna is a commander on this battlefield. He understands how to execute an order. It's something that if your mindset is properly trained, action, reaction, causality, and what follows in the aftermath. You don't have to think about, if I do this, then this will happen, then this might happen, then Bhishma might look at me, then he'll frown about what I'm about to do, but then that'll bring pleasure to your Duryodhana. The moment you allow your mind to get in the way of potentially questioning your duties, that can cause an issue, especially if it's coming from, in this case, Krishna directly. Understanding where the source is, not having to question it. Same way when we're doing our duties and we understand it's an order coming from the spiritual master. It's not something that we have to think about for a moment. We know that since we've already taken shelter of a spiritual master, or Krishna, in this Arjuna's case, Krishna, I can just do this. Versus if I'm just hearing it off someone off the street, I'm going to stop. I'm going to question my life choices if I'm listening to someone on the street.
Awesome.
Unless they're going to like a devotee and they are qualified spiritual master who book distribution on the street.
Okay. Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada here says something specific. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. Okay. Now, with this, if Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord, why did Krishna spend 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita explaining it?
Because he had his own free will. That
Yes,
also.
free will. Yeah. All right. So with that, actually, I want to bring us to 1863. Marisha, we can have you read the translation for this.
Thus, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do.
Okay. So Arjuna had no right to consider Krishna's order, but Krishna is explaining it. And that is because
Free will.
free will exists, right? And then I think, from before surrendering, you can read that part too.
Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on this subject as far as the intelligence goes. That is the best way to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instruction comes also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna. So we don't want to have blind faith. We don't want to just accept it fully because then we don't understand why we are doing something. We have to analyze it, understand why we are doing it, and then you feel like you're more in. Once you weigh the pros and cons or whatever you do, you are fully invested in it. And it's Krishna, Srila Prabhupada is saying that's the best way to accept the instructions. He's not saying, you just listen and you do. He's saying you have to analyze it first, and it comes through the spiritual master.
Alright, great. And then we can continue reading from here, and then we'll finish at Tatmacheta's. Yeah, exactly that. the first line.
The Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls. Therefore, one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, is called Avyatmachetas. Basically, so Lord Krishna is the origin of all of us. We all come from him, so he's the soul of all souls. Therefore, we depend on him completely for everything, because if you think about it, you know, the air we breathe, the very life we have, everything comes from him. The soul, this body, everything emanates from the Lord.
Yeah, we're nothing without Krishna.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Alright, so we can move on to Nirashi. Virginia from our group, can you read this part? And then finish at right here.
Nirasi means that one has to act on the order of the master, but should not expect fruitful results. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purport of Mayi, or unto me. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that we are not the owners of anything. I think there is Ishopanishad verse which talks about the same thing, you know, where Krishna is the owner of everything, and we are supposed to just use what's meant for us, not try to take too much or try to be the proprietors. The example of the cashier is also nice. You know, when a cashier in a bank counts a lot of money, but it's not his own money. That's what I take away.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, it's not about abandoning your duty, it's just about abandoning attachment. So when we come at this from a material standpoint, Krishna is just making something sound, this is not normal for us to work without getting something back in return, right? If you told like a Wall Street trader, work hard, but don't expect any bonuses or anything for yourself. How would they take it?
No.
Not well, right? There would be a lot of screaming and shouting, and I'd probably get kicked out of the room. But this is what Krishna is recommending. He is saying to work as for your duty and not for greed. Because when you work with attachment to results, that creates anxiety. That can create pride, and that can also, in really bad scenarios, it can also create depression. Because when you are attached to the results of your activities, your mood constantly shifts depending on how well you think your service was performed. And Krishna addresses this concern also in Bhagavad Gita 5:12, where he explains that the outcome of our work depends on the consciousness in which we offer the results. And then we can actually just open this up and then okay. Who is near the mic right now? So we can have Sanjana read this.
The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the results of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. Essentially, like as we've been saying, to not be attached to your results, because then your mood, as you're saying, is completely drawn upon the success or failure of your activities. Rather, we have to commit to just doing our duty, but not expecting the results that come from it.
Yeah, it's all about consciousness at the end of the day. It's not like, oh, whatever I get, I have to give every single thing to Krishna. No, it's just that in your mind you know who it truly belongs to. So, if we are performing activities for our own recognition, for our own satisfaction, we can become bound by the material reactions and can get easily disturbed again by the quality of our service. So every time something negative happens, it can affect us deeply because we have tied our sense of self to the outcome. But when we offer the results to Krishna, we can remain undisturbed, knowing that our role is simply to serve, not to control. This principle can also help you respond to criticism in a healthier way. Can someone give me an example of why this is easier to take criticism, or taking any specific comments from devotees? Yeah.
Because, okay, say you're doing a kirtan, right? And I mean, what's the kirtan for? It's for the pleasure of Krishna. So if some more experienced devotee tells you, hey, you're way off beat on the kartals, you're not playing the kartals for your own pleasure, for the pleasure of anyone there. You're both, these people are playing for the pleasure of Krishna. So if he tells you you're off beat, then you say, oh, okay. And you fix it instead of getting upset or taking it for yourself. Okay, I want to be better.
Yeah, it's easier to correct yourself when you don't think that, oh, this is a personal attack on me. I'm never going to play kartals again, and then you just leave the service completely. No, this is where we have to include Krishna, and we have to see, no, this Prabhu wants me to play better kartals so that Krishna can be satisfied with my playing, or whatever, however you want to understand it. But yeah, so it's a lot easier to also take feedback into account for next time when you don't have yourself in the center of the picture, right? Instead of thinking, I am the one who made this happen, you just have to remind yourself that you're simply a puppet in Krishna's hands. And also, think about it positively. It's not that Krishna is taking away the results from me and now I can't enjoy the results of anything, everything I worked so hard for. No. Krishna is so kind that he is taking care of the results, leaving me free from anxiety. Because now I can just do my service and I don't have to care about whatever happens in the end. It's up to you, Krishna. So we can go back to the shloka and then we will continue to... Yeah, I'll tell you when to stop.
Sorry.
And when.
And when one acts in Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in a loving relationship, that reluctance should be thrown off. In this way, one may become Vigata Dwara, or without feverish mentality or lethargy.
Any comments you have on this, whatever you understand?
I think what this part of the Bhagavad, Srila Prabhupada is trying to expand a little bit more on what kind of consciousness you should have when you're performing these actions. So he says nothing is mine, and he's saying where like reluctance to have that mentality would come from, where you associate with your body, and you're associating with an egotistic mentality as well, and that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, nirmama means just nothing is mine. So why is that? Because if you cling to this conception of this is mine, suffering starts to appear in your life. Because one, we fear losing what is ours. Next, we get angry when things don't go our way. And lastly, we feel incomplete when we don't acquire enough. Okay, let's do this. Sunil Prabhu, maybe we can have a personal example. Is there a time where you just like, this is mine, and then something happened, and then you realize that at the end of the day, it's just under Krishna's control? No?
When I felt sad, it happened, but for small things.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly, but obviously I have so many times such feelings.
Yeah, times where we just feel like everything is supposed to be under our control, then something drastic happens. Let's say like, oh yeah, we came 2 hours early for our flight, we came super on time, past the security, now we're sitting at the gate. Is it still under your control if you get on that plane or not? No, even if I do everything correctly, I do all the proper procedures, I don't have any water bottles or like any water or anything, I still might not get on the plane because it is ultimately not up to me. Nalini Mataji, you wanted to say something?
Please complete what you were saying.
Oh, that was basically it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, something could happen. The plane could not arrive on time. Maybe someone could kick you out of the plane because there's too many people and they overbooked the plane, okay? You have to like take your little care package. I don't know how often that happens, but
Would you mind repeating the question quickly?
The question is like, when was a time that you felt like you were in control, but then Krishna reminded you that you were just like, I have nothing.
What came to my being a parent, I think many parents think that your your child is completely under your control. You can tell them, better. You can tell them what to do and what not to do. But then, in my experience, when my daughter was little, she's not little anymore, she's big. I call her Baba now, not baby, Baba. So when she was in school, once I told her that you're spending too much time being that person who lets everybody go in a line. What is that called? I forgot.
I don't know, but I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot. I told her that you're spending too much time and you're going early, you're not eating your breakfast. Can you please not do that? And she said, no, I'm going to do that. And she did. She was, I think, 10 years old. So I had to learn that I cannot do my way, or I cannot dictate her, saying that I know better.
Yeah.
So at that time I didn't know Krishna, but I knew that she knows better. It's her time. So yeah, there are many times I wish I had known this information, this knowledge, this wisdom. It's very helpful. I think I want to say this to all the parents that listen to Krishna. Not to yourself. That's all.
Yeah, you just have to do your duty raising the kid, whatever the result is. It's up to Krishna.
That's coming from a doctor, by the way.
Yes. Does anybody else have any experience? Yes.
So I want to add about let's say about health, right? So we take care of everything within us. So in terms of health, like let's say you're going to gym, you're doing daily walking and everything, and then like tomorrow, let's say you get something in your health, like it's beyond your control. You can do everything to take care of like your body and everything, but like this world is dukkhalaya shashvatam, like anything can happen. And so it's just like an acceptance that everyone has to like have in mind that you do your best to take care of your health, like you tell your parents like eat that, eat this, but at the end like no one is under control of anything. Like anything can happen to the body, like maybe accidents or like some fatal disease or anything like that. Like COVID was the big example. Like everyone was taking, like a lot of people were like gym goers. Like many people were going to taking very good care of health, very healthy people, and then like you see that like going to hospital, never coming out. So that was like a very interesting scenario. So that's one of the situations that we understand that we can do whatever we can, but not everything is in our control.
Yes. So that's really interesting because it seems like Krishna every single day is giving us so many signs that nothing is in our control, and still we think that we're the controllers. Every single day we're always faced with this. I can give one personal example. Recently, I had to go to class, okay? So I was seated in the car, and all of a sudden this little light comes on about the tire pressure, and I'm like, oh no. I go out, and the entire tire is totally flat. I could not make it to class, okay? I did everything right. I went on time, but at the end of the day, it was not under my control. So, again, also, I wanted to talk about bodily relationships. So, for most people, this reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without the consideration of kinsmen in the bodily relationship, it feels so inhumane because we're so used to like identifying with me and mine. But what happened in this case is Arjuna let my family, my people, justify injustice or corruption. And this is because Arjuna was actually fleeing from adharma or fueling adharma or unrighteousness. So it's very interesting. When you see someone in connection to you, you think that they can do no wrong, even though they have harmed you so many times, because of how we are attached through the skin, and not just the skin, through experiences and memories that you've shared with them too. It really changes. So think about all the atrocities the Kauravas have committed against the Pandavas. Is that not grounds for Arjuna to get angry? Is that not grounds for Arjuna to forget that this is my family? Because they weren't acting like family members, right? So actually we can read this specific thing. I think this is really interesting. This is 1.11 of the Bhagavad Gita. we'll start off with here. Bhagavad wants to.
Duryodhana clearly felt that the victory of the Kurus depended on the presence of Bhishmadev. He was confident of the full support of Bhishmadev and Dronacharya in the battle because he well knew that they did not even speak a word when Arjuna's wife, Draupadi, in her helpless condition, had appealed to them for justice while she was being forced to appear naked in the presence of all the great generals in the assembly. Although he knew that the two generals had some sort of affection for the Pandavas, he hoped that these generals would now completely give it up, as they had done during the gambling performances.
What would you like to say about this?
About this? So, Dronacharya and Bhishmadev, both of them, Srila Prabhupada explains, had affection for the Pandavas. But Duryodhana, seeing how they had responded to that situation, was under the impression that they would also respond favorably for him when the battle came. Because that was, I guess, in a sense, like one of the battles. And they, in that battle, were on Duryodhana's side. So now that the big war is happening, that battle, they're most likely going to be on Duryodhana's side.
So would you say that if this happened to you, Bhagavad, would you still feel compassion towards the Kauravas?
If they tried to like strip me naked? Oh, I guess either way, unpleasant.
So no, right? You wouldn't. Actually, Srila Prabhupada mentioned it in a different verse also in the first chapter, talking about that Bhishmadev and Dronacharya actually had stayed with the Kauravas particularly due to financial, what is it, the word for it? Financial considerations. Yeah, so, yeah, so it was very interesting that was like kind of the main reasons why they decided to stay with this dynasty who has done so many terrible things. Also another reason why, because they didn't speak up so that they could remain in their nice, lavish lifestyle that they had in the palace. And because of that, they didn't choose the right side. And Krishna explains that because your teachers didn't choose the right side, that's actually a reason why they are not your teachers anymore, when Arjuna made the argument to Krishna. So, we will continue on.
Madhuri, I had a question. I don't know if I get this correct. It's like a Mahabharata question, but like, it's like, so even like Arjuna and like Pandavas didn't speak anything as well during that time. So why why don't we know they are great personalities and everything, but like why weren't they the villain in this part as well? Because they didn't what dharma says is that like if your wife is getting stripped like that, you are supposed to do something, and like they're just sitting there like getting their wife stripped at that point of time, and like so why only Bhishma and Dronacharya were this condemned? Why not Pandavas themselves as well? I don't know. It's like it's a question mark, like not just to you, but like.
What I understand is basically at some point of time, Dhamma was the biggest casualty in that entire thing, because if you look at Bhishma, he was not looking for financial consideration. He had obligated himself to defending that throne, and there Dhritarashtra was sitting and his son was doing it, so he couldn't go against him. It was not for financial consideration. Similarly, Yudhishthir also was basically thinking that he has surrendered himself, he has basically become a slave of Duryodhana, so he cannot speak. He has no right over even his wife, who he had lost in the youth. So he didn't speak that. And third thing which is interesting is Krishna was asked this question by Draupadi, that why are you going with a peace proposal to the Kauravas when he has done this, when they have done all this? And Krishna said, this is for dharma. I don't want to make it personal that, for you I am going to go there. So I think there is a verse, dharmo rakshati rakshita, like dharma protects them who protects it, and that is what I learned from, and that's maybe one of my interpretations of why they kept quiet. So.
Actually, Prabhu, you can read this last part.
everyone, according to the quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness as described above. That will lead one to the path of liberation. I think we have been endowed, my understanding is we have been endowed with certain faculties, certain intelligence by Krishna. So we have to perform our duties, discharge them, but fully surrendering to Krishna. That's why that minimum word without proprietorship makes sense. And it says then that will lead one to the path of liberation, because there your personal thoughts, your personal thinking will not come into picture. You're surrendering everything to Krishna. So that's what I understood from this verse.
I want to mention something. Like, for example, Prabhupada said that it's very important for ladies to do cooking and cleaning. So I know that I was not very fond of cooking, and I was doing it as a force on myself. But when I came to Krishna consciousness and heard Prabhupada, I said I have to like cooking, So you have to start liking everything, like in the sense that, I don't know whether I'm answering the question or not. And regarding Draupadi, one thing was there, that it was basically for Krishna to teach to everyone that even your husbands will not be able to help. I'm the one's going to help. So sometimes, we say that actually Krishna is our husband as a Mataji. Because it's like, he is ultimately who's going to help us, not anyone else. So that is like the whole scenario was created. So it's just, all these are leelas of Krishna teach us that, the helpless condition like that. And of course, regarding what comment they were saying, that Krishna actually went to Duryodhana telling him that I'm still telling you, there shouldn't be a war. But he didn't listen, so he's like, it's not like Krishna wants the war. He gave him the last thing. So we can connect everything to Prabhupada's lectures and teaching of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. So then, Srila Prabhupada is here just saying that everyone always has a particular type of work to discharge. It's not that anyone's work is just to be laying down in bed and be lazy. No, there's always something that people are inclined to do. And all of these duties can be discharged in Krishna consciousness. So whenever everybody's talking about my material life and my spiritual life are so different, how can I connect them together? It's not about what you're doing, it's about the consciousness behind behind why you're doing it, right? So even in school, obviously accounting doesn't seem very Krishna conscious, but when you realize that you're doing this ultimately to please Krishna, everything starts connecting, It doesn't feel like you have to live two separate lives. Everything can just be one. And then this teaching also removes all excuses for not pursuing liberation. You don't need to change jobs. You don't have to run away from society. You just need to, again, change your consciousness and act as an instrument of Lord Krishna. So another thing about this path, it requires what does this path require us mentally? From us mentally. Dedication, surrender, okay, one more word? Discipline. Okay. It requires a lot of maturity too, which is all the words that you guys have said, all summed into one. This path requires a lot of maturity because no one wants to offer the results of everything they've worked so hard for to God. I want to own my own success. If I have worked 5 hours, not 5 hours, 500 hours for something that I really wanted, why would I give the results to Krishna? He didn't do anything. I did it all myself, right? So it's really easy to get into that mindset where you just forget who is really in control. And that's why it's really easy, again, to stay entangled. So, if you are working in Krishna consciousness, but you're secretly craving control, you're secretly craving status or profit, you're just going to keep playing a back and forth game with no end in sight. And it's not super controversial, but I would say it's a little controversial. I would say a really good example, not a really good example, sorry, I have to choose my words a little carefully here, but there are some services in ISKCON that it's really easy to be the spotlight of, okay? There's many services like when you're cooking in the kitchen or when you're sweeping the floors, cleaning the bathrooms, no one's really gonna record you on, put you on Instagram, you have all the famous kirtan pages. You don't get much recognition from those services. But when you do services that are in the spotlight, for example, when you're singing kirtan and you have a very beautiful voice, it's really easy to forget the purpose of why you are doing this kirtan, because so many people are always talking. So yeah, it's really easy to forget who's really in control. It's really easy to forget that this is an offering to Krishna. This is not for people to see the quality of my voice. How many dehais I can play on the mridanga, or like, I don't know, the best kartal player in the world. I don't think anyone thinks that, but I'm kind of crazy. But yeah, so it's really easy in certain services to keep a humble state of mind. And that, I would like to bring up another text here, again from the Bhagavad Gita. And then we can have Shraddhanjali Mataji to do this.
On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior.
So we can go and then just start from this part here.
A sincere person who follows this method is far better situated than the false pretender who adopts so bottled spiritualism to cheat the innocent public. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. So this is very simple. Like, this is not like any sincere person. If even the temple who is sweeping the temple is like, basically you do your own duty, you know. It's don't have to do something to like recognize, someone can recognize you. So it's a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the someone who is like making that, you know, meditation and all the sake of the living your life, right? Like making, oh, I'm doing something, I'm something.
There's also the story of the cobbler and the Brahmin. Most of us know that story, I presume. That's a pretty good example of this. So, also, Srila Prabhupada, this is also talking about a sincere sweeper is better than the meditator who meditates for the sake of living. So, sincerity is the most important thing when you're performing a service. And I would like to talk about a story of Srila Prabhupada that involves the mood in which we should be doing service, right? It's really easy to want to get praised in front of all your fellow devotees, and that's something to always think of. And another thing is when you're doing a service, we want to feel something, right? I want to feel like I've pleased Krishna. I want to feel this love for Krishna within my heart. But this story, I'm sure Max, you know this story, about Shrutakirti Prabhu. Shrutakirti Prabhu was Srila Prabhupada's servant. And I was listening to one of his Srila Prabhupada memories. During this time, he was, I think, Srila Prabhupada's servant for about 8 months by this time. And he was struggling a little bit with his devotional mindset because he was wallowing in a lot of self-pity. Shrutakirti Prabhu had reached a point where he couldn't feel anything. He couldn't feel any love, he couldn't feel anything. And he was Srila Prabhupada's servant. He is always with Srila Prabhupada all the time, and still everything felt the same. So this is going on. And while this is all happening inside of his head, him and Srila Prabhupada have seated on a plane. They're on a plane, and they just landed in Los Angeles. So it's time, the time has come for the devotees to greet Srila Prabhupada. So outside the plane, you can hear all the chanting, all the kirtan. The devotees are so excited, right? And one by one, everyone is stepping off the plane. So the anticipation is growing even more too, because once like almost everyone steps off the plane, then Srila Prabhupada is going to appear. And so Srila Prabhupada came off the plane. Everyone is jumping, they're laughing, they're crying up and down, offering obeisances. I mean, all the symptoms of ecstasy were on these devotees, right? And there was Shrutakirti Prabhu, always behind Prabhupada. He looked at everyone. He didn't feel anything. In fact, he even felt worse because he saw all this emotion, all these emotions these devotees were experiencing when they met when they were seeing Srila Prabhupada. But he was always with him. So Srila Prabhupada, Shrutakirti Prabhu never felt that separation from Srila Prabhupada like all these devotees did. So then after that, they arrived at the place that they were staying at. And at this point, Prabhu had to get everything ready. He had to pack Srila Prabhupada's lunch. He had to unpack his entire suitcase. And then he had to prepare for Srila Prabhupada's massage. So he was busy all these things, but he's just feeling terrible inside because he's seeing that all these devotees have something that I don't have anymore. So, while he was massaging Prabhupada, he said to him, Prabhupada, I saw everyone in ecstasy. They have so much love for you, but I don't feel anything. I don't feel any love. I don't feel anything. And this is crazy to say to your spiritual master. Oh my goodness. And then after he said this, what could have Srila Prabhupada said back in response? Nothing happened. That was it. It was just silence. Shrutakirti Prabhu continued the massage for an hour. No words. He gave lunch to Srila Prabhupada. Nothing. Srila Prabhupada went for his afternoon nap, and that was it. So, of course, time heals everything. So by this time, he had felt a little bit better inside. He was, he was really overthinking it. As anybody in this room would. So, afterwards, Srila Prabhupada rang his bell, calling Shrutakirti Prabhu back into the room. And he looked at Shrutakirti and said, do you like your service? Yes, Srila Prabhupada. Well, service is love. Just do your service, that is love. Everyone, it doesn't matter, they can jump up and down, that's nice. But the service is love. Just do service, everything will be alright. So, I think this was a really important story because we don't always have to feel something in our heart after we've completed a service. It's not about chasing something. Again, this is where we're putting myself in the center. I'm putting myself in the center because I want to feel something after doing this amazing service. Oh, I've dressed the deities. I feel so happy. The love is just filling me up. No, it's just about doing your service. It really isn't that deep, We're just doing it for the sake of doing it because Krishna knows. Krishna knows everything. We don't have to feel anything, but Krishna can feel everything.
I want to give an example of the same service last week, Seva Saturday. We had a nice program after that. We made Seva outside, and what I could observe, there were so many devotees doing Seva, but if there was kind of like a nomination given to the hardworking devotee, that would have gone to Pushapaka Prabhu. He said himself, the oldest, youngest devotee. There was one post that he couldn't take out. And Prabhu came out and took it out. And we kind of want to be more respectful. Prabhuji, take it easy, don't do much. We said, no, let me do. Let me show you who I can, what I can do. So that was an amazing Prabhu, the service that you did. So.
Old man strength.
Old man strength. And we need that, yeah. So that was amazing. You can see, Prabhu didn't think that, I am supposed to be respected as seniors, sit me on the side. No, he came out. He says, today is Seva Saturday. And Seva means, let's do Seva. So he came out. That's amazing. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, so, in Arjuna's case, the satisfaction was just that he's following the orders of Krishna. Just the same way, the satisfaction for us is that we're even able to do this service. That's all. That's all we should be thinking about in our mind. So, whether he felt happiness or displeasure or whatever, it was out of the question. He just had to perform his duty. Just like we all have to perform our duty, which is...
Chanting. Coming to temple?
Yes, Prabhu. Oh man, you scared there for a second. Prabhu, what's our address?
2651 Rouse. I know, Prabhu. I just put Scotland.
Where's what's our address?
2651 Rouse Road, Orlando, Florida, 32817.
Nice, Evo, yeah. So yeah, our duty is literally just to come and show up every Sunday. That doesn't seem so hard, especially when Arjuna was tasked with the duty of killing the people he's known his entire life in a battlefield. We just have to come on Sunday. And I'm sure most of us have cars, and our bodies are hopefully in good condition. And this is also an important thing. A lot of people who don't have cars still make it to our Sunday program.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Bhavana is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, once the new devotee, he was on a morning japa walk with Srila Prabhupada, and it was really easy to tell that this devotee wanted to ask Srila Prabhupada a question, again, from Shruti Kirti Prabhu's memories. But asking questions to Srila Prabhupada is a really dangerous game, because when you ask a question to Srila Prabhupada, he's going to come back at you with a harder question about yourself, okay? So this is just a question of like, do I want to be a fool or no, right? You just have to keep your mouth shut sometimes. So anyways, by this time the walk had ended, right? And the devotee had just blurted out, how can I become serious in Krishna consciousness? And Srila Prabhupada is like going into the car and stuff like that, he's leaving, and Srila Prabhupada, he just said one word in response. Max.
What did you say, bro? Can you repeat?
I forgot.
Desire. Desire is the only thing. If we desire strongly enough, Krishna will reciprocate beyond what we can imagine, right? The best example of this shloka in action is seen in the life of who? So no one's confident?
So many.
No one's confident in their answer. Bhajagona, who do you think? The shloka in action of surrendering everything to Krishna, going to fight. Okay. Arjuna, okay. Guys, come on. It's not looking good for me. Srila Prabhupada. I'm sorry. I mean, everyone was saying Srila Prabhupada. No one had full conviction that Srila Prabhupada was who the shloka was speaking about. Let's all say it together. Srila Prabhupada! So yeah, yesterday was actually the incorporation of ISKCON in New York. And I would say New York is a pretty crazy battlefield. There's a lot of things going on in New York all of the time. Right now it's like flooding and everything. So, I mean, Srila Prabhupada was living under those conditions. And it wasn't like bright and sunny Florida where there's no rain, there's no snow. There's a lot of rain here. It's not like Florida where there's no snow, the weather is pretty nice, it's kind of mimicking India a little bit. No, New York is like a scary place. There's so many people on the side. I mean, Bhajagona, would you agree that New York is kind of scary?
A lot more people than expected.
A lot more people. That's scary to see people. Okay.
So many rats.
Oh, it's a lot of rats. Yeah, actually, when I went for New York, we all went together from the temple, and as soon as we stepped into the subway, we just saw this huge rat eating vomit. And I was like, oh my god, this is New York. This is where Srila Prabhupada lived. I was like, you have to remind yourself that this is the actual conditions, So the incorporation was yesterday, and when Srila Prabhupada came to America alone on the Jaludha ship, obviously, I don't know if he could have envisioned that this small ISKCON Orlando temple would have been filled with so many devotees. And the only reason we're all here today is because of Srila Prabhupada. So I would like to end it off with this bhajan that Srila Prabhupada wrote. This is Markine Bhagavad Dharma. This is written at the Boston Harbor, September 18th, 1965. So this is when Srila Prabhupada arrived to America. And it's quite long, so I will just have the microphone passed around. And then everyone can just read the translations and start from this one. So whoever has the microphone, then just...
How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own.
Who was the microphone that side? Somehow or other, oh Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like.
O spiritual master of all the worlds. Translation: O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding.
Only by your causeless mercy will our words become pure. I'm sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life.
Oh Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like.
I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of the Bhaktivedanta.
Signed, the most unfortunate and insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship of Jaladuta, Commonwealth Bay, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September 1965.
This is a moon in which Srila Prabhupada came to.
If I could say something about...
Sir, please go ahead.
If I could say something about the incorporation of ISKCON in 1966. Then ISKCON was one tiny little storefront in New York City with a small handful of followers, and some of them thought, this is a little pretentious. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, it was just Swamiji and the boys on, in a little storefront on 2nd Avenue. And as far as they knew, that's all Krishna Consciousness could ever be, just us and Swami on 2nd Avenue.
It turned into a worldwide
explosion.
explosion. Wow. Okay.
There was someone who met Prabhupada on a park bench, even before that time, before Prabhupada had any followers. And Prabhupada was telling about all these temples and farms and schools, and he had nothing at the time, but Prabhupada said only time is separating.
Anyone else want to share any Srila Prabhupada memories since yesterday was a very big day? No? Alright. So we can move on to questions now or any comments if you'd like. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to talk about this Prabhu's question. Why wasn't the Pandavas condemned as Dronacharya and Bhishma? You have to understand the situation. They had lost Draupadi. So at that point, it was out of their hands. They had no say in the matter. And Karna, because he was rejected at Draupadi's Swayambhuva ceremony, he had, what we call it, a grudge. Okay? And he saw that this was the time, to embarrass the Pandavas and also to embarrass Draupadi. So that is why, it was out of their hands. And that is why they were not condemned as Bhishma and Drona.
Next one.
I have a question.
Bhava, can you please clarify two sentences in the purport? It says, Arjuna didn't have to consider Krishna's order. You spoke about that. But then the next sentence, he said he just needed to follow his orders or something. It's confusing for me. Can you please?
Yes.
And then this is the.
The one before that.
No, the sentence after.
So Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. And the next line, he had only to execute his order. So whose order is Prabhupada talking about in the second part?
Krishna's order, the H is capital.
Okay. But it said Arjuna didn't have to consider the order of the Lord, so I'm confused.
So you don't have to consider it in his mind, he just has to do it with his body. That makes sense. But he was considering before, he was like always weighing the pros and cons of the battlefield, and he's like, take me to see this, now let me give you all the reasons why I don't think I should fight in the battlefield. So this is him considering, and Krishna is saying that no, you need to fight, and Krishna is breaking down every single one of the arguments that Arjuna is giving. So that is what happens when Arjuna considers the order of the Lord. That's what happens when any of us in this room start thinking too much about the orders of whatever the guru or the the authority figure is telling you to do. Because Arjuna had already accepted Krishna as a guru, or maybe not by that time when he was questioning it afterwards a little bit. But yeah, so when you accept someone as your guru, it's just more like we just have to do it. That's it.
Something, I don't know, you're telling me? Me? Yeah. When the spiritual master says jump, the disciple says why? Instead of asking how high.
You said in midair.
So here, same thing here. Arjuna is saying why. So instead of saying how high means accept the order and move on, do it, no? Hey, nice one, this is it. Good. And this whole family has come from Cambridge, UK, visiting us and blessing us, also our devotees of associations. Thank you for being here with us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Nice meeting. Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, wonderful session. Really enjoyed. My question is, Krishna is a friend of Arjuna. So it was very easy for Arjuna to put a faith and a trust in Krishna and to accept any orders which was given to him. Also, if you've seen that Arjuna was considering whether he should follow the instructions of Krishna or not in the beginning, and only after Karpanya dosha Bhava Svabhava. So after that shloka, Arjuna surrendered, and then start acting in that capacity as a disciple. So for all of us, when we are in this stage of doing service which has been given by someone, if we don't know the person, right? If we don't have that faith in that person, how likely we are to just take that order without considering and just to execute? I mean, do you have any sort of ideas, any hints or tips that we should just not use our rational?
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, of course, at the end of the day, Srila Prabhupada is always the first one who's going to be there, and we know who Srila Prabhupada is. So I would say that if this devotee who is giving you orders is following the directions of Srila Prabhupada, and you see it in their day-to-day life that they're living through the words that Srila Prabhupada is teaching us, then I would also put my faith in that person because they have put their faith in Srila Prabhupada. So that's my 2 cents, I would say. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah. So just leading to that, I would like to say that obviously Krishna also had to act in that capacity to work on that faith and the relationship aspect. Yes. So for all the devotees who are in that position to give you the orders or to assign you the service, I think it's so important for them to even act in that capacity and to remind themselves that we have to just act as a Suradam Sarvabhutanam, means the best friend of everybody, and then provide that platform for the next person to take those orders in good faith.
Yeah, that's really important. I mean, we don't want to just be like the controller. We just tell everyone, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. No, we also have to learn because we're all devotees, right? We're all friends at the end of the day. So we also have to try to get to know each other. It's not that we just have to keep like shoving services on everybody because like we're in this position of management or something like that. So I think that's a really important point too.
So, just maybe a little clarification. You were talking about military discipline, right? And in the military, soldiers, they have to follow orders without question. And then you just talked about how when we surrender, we have to analyze before we make our decision. We can't just gung-ho and go. So how do you know when it's a decision that you have to just do it, and then a decision you have to kind of psychoanalyze?
When do you use that? On me now?
We have, yeah. So, I think anything needs to have a base, right? So, how do we verify the truth? So, we have been given this basis called the triangle of truth. If these 3 points are saying yes, then it will be good. So that's why we do the analysis or analogy. We do, right? These 3 things are saying, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra are saying the same things, then you accept it, right? And after this, you are on a roller coaster now that you know that whatever I'm doing is already because I'm studying the books and studying sadhus, studying the following of the guruships. So they are saying the right thing and it's going on. Now, in the middle somewhere, one guru after so many years you find out that, oh my God, he said this, but now he did this. There is something wrong now. So again, that was just the person's issue or problem here. We don't have to get stuck or get stopped or worry about those things. As long as the other things are all going on properly, the right way, that's fine. So we don't have to really see the person. Guru means Prabhupada here, right? Sadhu is also from the devotees, Shastras is the books. So these 3 things are always going to be telling us to the right thing. But if sometimes things go hayway or to the other path, then we can discuss what has happened just to console ourselves. Sometimes that person's mindset was here and there, or small mistakes, slight mistakes, this can be overlooked. Or not overlooked, but given to some other authorities to have that part managed or discussed. But other than that, these are the 3 things that we usually should keep as our base to keep all things going on. And then the followers of whoever are there right now, they're also following these 3 things, who's teaching, who's guiding all of us, and we just follow the same thing too. Sometimes some discussions are being managed or being made. It might sound difficult, but eventually, high level, these 3 things are being followed, which is okay, it's good. So that's when I would say analyze is very important. Prabhupada said don't accept Krishna consciousness blindly. It's science. So science means practically find out things, right? Just like I give 2 example of the community developed here is based. What is the basis of the community that's been developed here? Yes. How long? How long? 10 Prabhupada's books?
10 minutes a day.
10 minutes a day. This is the dose we all need to take. 10 minutes a day of Srila Prabhupada's readings. Now 10 minutes is the minimum. Of course, when you open Prabhupada's books, especially Lilamrita, can you stop after 10 minutes? No. Right? So minimum 10 minutes you have to do, and then some of you also enrolled in the text reviews, so we also do text reviews too. This is the text for next week, with 30. We are doing it right now. So these are the things are going to continuously tell us that yes, things are going in the right way. If you just do, like you said, only Sunday is not going to happen all the time. Okay, but the Max has encouraged so many devotees to come to sing Gaura Arati every other day of the week. So Krishna comes on Sunday, he comes sometime on Wednesday as well, then Thursday as well, Bhajamadar is on Monday, different way. Prabhuji comes on Mangala Arati, he's doing Mangala Arati on Wednesdays. So this is a place where things are happening in terms of not being live, not being shown what's going on, but coming to do performing as a service. One point that was mentioned there, Nirmama. So what does Nirmama mean? Okay, good. Simple English. Nothing belongs to me or mine. What belongs to me then? No. You all know the answer. Service belongs to me. No one can take this from me. Therefore, that mentality is what is happening here. You'll see all the people is coming down for the service. I don't really wait to do it. Thank you.
Can I disagree with I think service is something that can easily be taken away from someone. I mean, I would say, okay, sorry.
What way?
I don't want to do like.
Give examples.
But I mean, okay, let's say I love doing garlands, so I'm going to come every Sunday to do garlands, but then something happens and all of a sudden I can't do garlands on Sunday anymore. That service has been taken away from me and it's really easily given to another devotee, right? So sadhana is something that we can control because we're the only ones in charge of it. But service, so many people want to do service, so it's also easy for them to just take it away from people.
Just like Krishna, service is also unlimited. So we only, any organization, any management wise, for example, they only create that many services that can accommodate the place here, right? Now we cannot say, okay, Krishna, can you go and collect $1 million for a temple? We're not there yet. Just remember this one now. Right now, today we need sponsor Sunday feast. That's all we need right now. We don't need to, take money for right now. So we services, okay, someone got sick, they will go to somebody else, but that person will do something else. We will not leave anybody without any service. You guys know, we Anjali, make sure everyone has some service. So that's the one thing we have to make sure as leaders, and not as management, as leaders, everyone needs to be engaged with. Service belongs, just like Mohan says, service belongs to us. So Mohan, today is his disappearance day. He will do some service somewhere else.
I want to mention one thing that I really, from my heart, I really appreciate the class. I like the way you were so, the way you were quoting examples from Bhagavad Gita. It was just amazing to me, and I feel that, I should read more sincerely. It was a wonderful class, and Mataji who just came, she was hearing all through her way. And she said, like, I just came in quickly to, see Gopisha that in real. She's already here in the class, and live going on. And also want to mention one thing, like, there was some discussion about, like my day, everything is going different way. I always felt that, when I was not in Krishna consciousness, I always was, like under this pressure that, why it is not happening my way? Who is it not letting it happen my way, But when we come into Krishna consciousness, if it's not happening, some devotee will say, oh, Krishna wanted like that, one patila will fall down, they say, oh, Krishna. So everything is like one, patila falling down from the stove, it's like, oh, Krishna, it's like something is fallen. So we depend so much on Krishna like now, and then also, we also depend on our karma. So anything negative is happening to us, I don't know how many lives we have led, and what we have done, we don't know. So if it's coming, and definitely like the story of Srila Prabhupada, once his finger was cut. I want to mention you asking about Srila Prabhupada. So his person said, oh Prabhupada, your finger is cut. He said, my hand would have been cut. Imagine Prabhupada saying that, but just a finger got cut. So it's like one of our acharyas is saying like this, that what karma is coming to us, we just have to forget and do seva, just like Prabhu said. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes. Wonderful class. We should all have applause for Gopisha.
A devotee always thinks that whenever there's any happiness in their life, they think that this happiness was only given to me by Krishna, and if any misery comes into their life, they think Krishna has taken away most of the misery, I'm just suffering for a fragment of it.
And when the seva is gone away, what do? You fight. Why is the seva gone away? Make some other seva. That's how it is. Devotees will fight.
Very good. Alright, so we'll move on to Gora Arti now. We can have our cushions put away. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.